On this week's show, how do the stamp duty cuts affect property investors?
We're going to be answering all your questions in today's question and answer session.
Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share it with all your friends.
Hi, I'm Russell Leeds.
Hey, I'm Alasdair Cunningham.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. How are you doing, my friend? I don't know, I feel like every time I see this, it's like, it feels like a long time.
I know.
Because it's funny because we always say, it's because it's lockdown, but we're actually allowed to see other people again now, and we still haven't met.
It's still lockdown in my place.
Is it?
Nah. Yeah, it's just we've been busy. Like now we're at a lockdown, we've got to get back to business has to keep going. Like we've got to get back. So I've been trying to keep very busy. I'm trying to keep very busy at the minute, and I'm trying to get out there doing as much business as possible and just getting out there again. I'm making the most of the fact that we're no longer in full lockdown, and we can go out, see each other people, we can do things, we can go out for dinner, we can go to we'll go out for a meal and have a night out if you want to.
Yeah.
Just making the most of it. And just hopefully we'll get back to events very, very soon. And we can start sort of congregating and meeting people and just starting putting all this behind us. So what have you been up to?
I've just been working, doing a lot of work, watching football. Now the football's back, which is great.
Weird, isn't it? What do you know? I watched the Formula One at the weekend, and football will be the same. It's just weird seeing like a game or a Formula One going on, and there's nobody in the audience apart from like in football cardboard cutouts in the seats, and it's like
surely Formula One's not weird though, because it's not football. It's all about the atmosphere. Formula One. I mean, I've never been, so. But from watching it on the TV, it's very much a case of all you can hear is the cars.
Yeah, 100%. But it's weird in the background seeing them go around a stadium that should normally full of people and flags and banners and stuff, and there's nobody there. It just seems like they're like at a random test day in Spain in March when it's still winter. But it's just funny. Like, and obviously I watched the football. Well, I didn't watch it, but I saw it on TV, and there was like nobody in the crowd apart from certain parts of the stadium had cardboard cutouts, and it was like no noise. It's just like, imagine like a World Cup match with nobody there, like nobody sort of shouting and swearing at the Scottish people, and the Scottish people not calling English.
Well, come on, that's not very realistic.
Well,
the Scottish people don't get to go to a World Cup
in the pre-qualifiers or whatever.
Oh yeah, the pre-qualifier. Everyone gets in. Yeah. You make that mistake usually.
Yeah.
You have made the odd World Cup in your history, haven't you? It's not like you've never been.
I don't know.
I know the Scottish go, England bang on about winning a World Cup. It's like, yeah, you bang on about going to a World Cup.
Yeah, but didn't you win it when it was easy? Like wasn't there many teams there or something like that?
No.
I don't know, mate. I don't follow football. I can't stand it. To me, it's just people kicking a bag of air around. Excuse me.
Fair enough.
To me, it's just people kicking a bag of air, and I don't get it. Like, if you want to play a real sport, play rugby. Like,
fair enough. Well, interestingly,
footballers pretend they're hurt. Rugby players pretend they're not hurt, so they can continue to play. That's the difference. That's my take on it.
That's not the only difference. The other difference is the whole game. The game is very, very good. Rugby is about throwing it. They handball it continually. Like, they're offside. I don't know what it means. I don't get rugby.
Rugby's a hand sport.
Yeah. That's probably why I don't watch it. But no.
How's the elbow? Yeah. Speaking of injuries, you got an injury because you went scooter racing with your nephew and
well, can you imagine that was me doing scooter racing? Imagine if I played rugby.
Yeah.
Elbow as well. I've managed to carry on working out.
Good.
The whole time. So I've been on the exercise bike. I'll show it you. That's sitting right there. That has come in quite handy. Because obviously I'm limited with the stuff I can do. Weights and things like that I can't do. So that's coming really, really handy. So yeah, man, I'm good. Carried on losing weight. I've been really enjoying the lockdown work. I know you have as well.
Yeah.
But enough about us, and more importantly, onto property. Interestingly, we're going to be talking about stamp duty right now. There's lots of things that the government are really making an effort to keep the economy going, and one of the big ways to do that is through property. Property is key.
Yeah.
Is key to the economy, which I think was one of the reasons why they allowed developments to carry on. It's interesting, isn't it? Or, like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can carry on doing developments though.
I don't think any building site, maybe they shut down for a week or two, but I don't think any of them shut down for I certainly believe that the rules were that they could open as long as they practice social distancing. And like, certainly when I was out and about going to my 1 hour allocated daily allowance, you'd go past the building site and it's certainly a lot of activity going on. So, I think, like, really, I know there's a lot of critics out there that they'll bash the government and things like that. But at the end of the day, the government have done a fantastic job of handling lockdown. Whether you agree with that or not is irrelevant. They've done a fantastic job. They're helping the economy get back on its feet. They're helping it get off its arse, and they're throwing money at people. They're giving it in all sorts: tax reductions, stamp duty reductions, VAT reductions. So they've even reduced VAT on certain things now. Like
they're even doing things like the pubs. They're like giving a percentage off or meals and stuff on certain days. And
the VAT's gone down from 20% to 5%. So they're reducing the costs. The stamp duty is an excellent example. Bounce back loans, C-bills loans, all these loans.
And that's for that VAT, by the way, as well. It's not just pubs. That's for the hospitality industry, which means that anyone that's doing service accommodation, which is hospitality, if you're a VAT registered business that doing service accommodation, that's great. I didn't give us much notice today. It was like, they announced it on the Friday. It was like the Wednesday. I was thinking, man, that would be, if you had to go through all your tills, changing everything. And, I mean, I don't know how it works. Is the reduction for example, I would have thought, I might be wrong here, but I would have thought you've got a hotel, for example. Yeah. Are you going to lower your nightly stays because you're B2C? Right, your business to consumer. Are you going to lower your nightly stays to take into consideration the VAT? Or are you going to keep your nightly stays the exact same amount and just make 15% extra profit?
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of businesses are getting criticised because they're not passing that reduction on to the consumer. There's a lot of them. I know Wetherspoon's come under a lot of fire recently because I don't know exactly what, but I know they've been in the media a lot recently, getting a lot of fire and a lot of blame and things like that, and a lot of criticism because they are very open about the fact that they've got to get open, they've got to make money, they've got to trade if they want to keep jobs. And I know that I don't know how true it is, but I read an article somewhere saying that they weren't going to be passing on the reduction, but then I read another article saying they were. So it's like the media; they just contradict everything they all say. But
the funny thing is, Wetherspoons obviously treated their staff pretty badly. From the looks of it, I don't know the ins and outs, so I wouldn't want to judge. But from what I can see, I haven't majorly researched it, but they treated their staff pretty badly during the whole furlough time. They just laid loads of them off. They were like, "Oh well, we'll just get new staff." Type attitude. And everyone was saying, "I'm boycotting Wetherspoons. When we reopen, we're not going to go to Wetherspoons." There's all these petitions and everything. And then Wetherspoons open up and go, pints are £1.50, and everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, forget the."
It's like everything. It's like absolutely everything. All these people at the start of lockdown. Do you remember? I mean, it seems like an age ago, but remember on Thursday nights at 7 p.m, everyone was at the balconies on the doors, clapping for the carers, clapping for the emergency services. Now, like, all these protests are happening, and they're not giving the monkeys about them. They're giving the old police a slap, and they're rioting and all sorts. So there's all the people forget. People forget. So the same people that were praising the emergency services and thanking them are now potentially on the streets rioting and causing problems and injuring them. And it's just ridiculous. And it's the same with people with regards to Wetherspoons. They're all criticising, getting on their high horse and their high old bloody mighty. And then the Wetherspoons say £1.26 a pint and they're queuing at the door. It's people have got a short memory of a fish.
Wetherspoons, no, they have. It's amazing how fickle
Anything.
You read it like in books and stuff about like the people they all wanted this person and then they go and do this and you're like, oh my goodness, people aren't like that anymore, but they are exactly the same today.
One thing I will say, there's one company that I know of, and I'm sure there's more. There's one company that I know of that during the whole lockdown situation, they didn't furlough any of their staff and they paid their staff the full salary. Do you know who it is? It's your favourite place?
Starbucks.
Yeah. Starbucks did not furlough staff. Starbucks paid all of their staff, certainly in the UK, 100% of their salary through the whole lockdown. They didn't
furlough them?
Didn't furlough them.
Why?
Because they didn't. Because the article I read was because they felt that they make enough profit, they didn't need to rely on the government to furlough their staff. They took it as a decision upon themselves to use the profit they made to put that in and pay for the staff, because the staff, they're very loyal to their staff.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, you don't hear that. People slag Starbucks off for not paying taxes and stuff, but you don't hear that.
I mean, how true it is, I don't know. I'm just going by what I've read, and I read an article about.
Maybe they weren't allowed. Maybe it was like, you know, like all the self-employed people where, you know, depending on how much you pay taxes on, you can claim. It's like, oh, Starbucks don't pay any tax. That's covered. All these
self-employed people that are now bitching and moaning about how they didn't get any help during lockdown. The help is. What was that?
I've obviously got an impatient neighbour.
Oh, okay. So the help that they received during lockdown was a direct result of how much tax you've paid, basically, like your self-employment grant, your bounce back loans, and obviously all these people that are self-employed and don't declare their full income or don't do not getting help, and they're all bitching and moaning.
Maybe Starbucks are in the same boat. It's like, well, you're sorry, you paid no tax, you're not eligible. Well, I don't know. Anyway, so the two main changes that the government have made to try and boost the economy that's going to be a massive advantage to landlords is, number one, they've made it a lot easier to get planning permission. So for people like me and you that are doing stuff that requires planning permission, that is brilliant. Yeah, I've got projects going on now that we were looking at doing planning down the line. It's like, well, let's get the planning done now. Now is the time to get planning. So that's brilliant. But the thing I think is going to affect most people are the stamp duty cuts. Now, I've seen a lot of people talking about the stamp duty cuts, a lot of wrong information out there as well, because there's been big announcements like, we're cutting stamp duty, and everyone thinks, oh, well, they're cutting stamp duty, you know, for everyone. Stamp duty is completely cut. Well, that's not actually the case. It is good news, but it's not quite that good for property investors. If you're a first-time buyer and you're buying your own home, then basically you've got no stamp duty up to. And have you got the figures in front of you? Because I don't want to say anything's wrong.
So let me just pull out.
500 grand, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 500 grand. So up to £500,000 as a for your main residence, you'll not pay stamp duty. That is. Let me just find the scale that I was using. That is a big saving.
Well, they reckon that based on the average house price, it will average save a buyer. Sorry?
So a house up to previously, if you bought a house up to £500,000, you'd pay £15,000 in stamp duty. So now you won't pay a penny, like zero, zada. Mm-hmm. And then when there's
and this is in place, by the way, until the 31st of March next year. So basically, from when lockdown started, I suppose, but obviously it wasn't in place then. But from now until, but what I mean is they've kind of gone back to when the lockdown.
I'm very bitter about this. Actually, I'm very bitter because it come in force from the 8th of July. I completed on a house on the 29th of June, so I had to pay £8,000 stamp duty. And I'm struggling to get it back. I'm trying to get it back under the uninhabitable rule. But if this had come in, like
I think you don't. I think that's not how it works. From my experience, it's not like you don't pay it, do you? You go to your solicitor and you say, I shouldn't pay it because of this. They put it through, and then
it's very different. So if you've got an uninhabitable property. Right, this is a long one, but if you've got an uninhabitable property, i.e. no kitchen, no bathroom, you can claim for stamp duty relief. You still pay a percentage, but it's like a small percentage, it's like £1,200 or whatever. But if you're buying cash, it's easy, straightforward, because there's no charges, there's no lending. But if you're using lending, a lot of you then have to go back to the terms and conditions of what the lender says with regards to the registration of the charge. Most lenders, when they lend against the property, will want a charge to be applied to the company and to the property within 14 days of the completion date. Now, for them to put a charge on the property, they have to have paid full stamp duty, or the stamp duty has to be accounted for. If you want stamp duty exemption, they cannot do that within 14 days. Therefore, the lender will not lend because they cannot have the charge within 14 days. So the only way around it is to pay the full stamp duty, get the charge put on the property so the lender will lend, and then reclaim it back, which can take up to 2 months. And that's what I had to do. But I didn't find that out until 2 hours before completion, on the day of completion. When my solicitor
how much was your property that you just bought?
The property was £210,000.
210. So you've had to pay at 5%.
I don't remember the exact percentage, but yeah, about that. So I had to pay, my stamp duty was £8,000. So yeah, it's 4%. 4% stamp.
So it would have been like, you would have had to pay like 3?
No, so I had to pay the full £8,000, but I'm going to be getting back 6,750. Hopefully.
Okay.
So
well, if you do get it back, then you've got no complaints, have you?
Yeah, no, but it's just obviously at the time cash flow. I was laying out £120,000, and yeah, do you know what I mean? So to find another £8,000 on the day is like wow. But it's just cash flow and properties. But so stamp duty exemption is an amazing thing, brilliant thing. Again, the government have pulled it out of the hat.
Now, how it usually works is you pay 0 stamp duty up to, is it 40 grand?
Yeah, 40 grand, yeah.
And then from 40 to 150,
yeah, for
a normal person, it's free, isn't it? Still for a normal person.
You get I'm not entirely sure, because obviously it's the main residence. I don't know. It's very low, dude. Hold on, let's just pause the recording. No.
So if you're there's sort of 3 different categories that you get charged stamp duty, all benefit, right? But this is what it was. So first time buyers, they paid no stamp duty up to 300 grand.
Yeah.
And then 5% on any portion between 300 and 500,000 pounds.
Yeah.
The non-first time buyers, so if you're just a normal person buying a house, like if you're selling your house and moving to a new house or whatever, but it's not your first ever house, you paid nothing. Oh no, sorry. Nothing for your first 125 grand. That was free. But then after 125 grand, it was 2%. So for between 125 and 250 was 2%. And between 250 and 925 was 5%.
Yeah.
And it went up to 10% if you like, and 12% if you were going above that. Yeah. However, if you're a buy to let, they basically kept the figures the same as that, but we're going to throw on an extra 3%.
Yeah.
So if you're a buy to let landlord, so rather than paying 2%, you're paying 5%.
Well, I've got a calculator on my phone, so it works out. This is updated with the new rates. So if you're like a landlord and you're buying a house now, let's just say, so I just bought a house, £210,000. I paid £8,000 stamp duty, but with the new rate, I would only pay £6,300.
So you've basically just blown 1,700 quid.
Yeah, I would have saved 1,700 quid.
Just by buying it a week later.
By buying it a week later, yeah. So, and like 300.
However, what they've done now, sorry, just because you were interrupting my flow. So what they've done now is they've kept the 3%. So the extra 3% surcharge, that still exists, but they've scrapped a lot of for non-first time buyers, home movers, they've got rid of the up to 500 grand, isn't it?
Yeah, 500 grand. Yeah.
500 grand, it's just like, it's free. So now you're only paying 3% as a buy-to-let investor up to 500 grand.
Yeah, I mean, previously, 500 grand, if you bought a £500,000 investment property, which you'd pay 15 grand. So that's a £15,000 save. I mean, that's a lot.
So what would you pay now? What would you pay now? Now you'd get 3%.
Oh, no, hold on. As a second property, as a landlord property.
As a landlord.
Right, yeah, you'd pay 15%. Sorry, you pay £15,000. So
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
3%.
Half
So
a £500,000, 3% is £15,000.
Whereas beforehand, you'd have paid 8%.
Yeah, so you're saving 5%. So you would have paid
3%
more. 30, you'd have paid 30. So
yeah, no, you're right. You said 5%, yeah.
So you would have paid 30 plus. You'd have paid about £35,000 stamp. You're saving a chunk of money.
You are.
You're buying a £500,000 house as a landlord, as a second home.
Now, to be fair, we probably wouldn't recommend buying a £500,000 house as a landlord. In fact, we've talked about this quite a lot, which is why we recommend renting where you live. So more realistically, for a landlord, it's going to be your 120. It's going to be your 125, where you're going to actually
125, £200,000. Yeah, you're not going to be up that sort of value.
They're the ones you're going to really benefit on. So that was 5%, and now it's 3%.
Yeah, so it's going to save you.
So you're saving 2%.
Yeah, 2%. So
which still could be a couple of grand.
Yeah, well, stamp duty on a £200,000 house now is £6,000. I paid 5% like last month, and I paid £8,000. So I basically lost £1,700-1,800.
So for a buy-to-let investor, particularly someone that's buying like a slightly more expensive one, really, really good news.
The thing is, that's saving your my legal costs. I had 2 solicitors dealing with this purchase, and the legal cost from one of them was £1,900. So that would have paid my legal costs. And annoyingly, I was really rushing them to try and get it done as quick as possible. But we didn't know anything about stamp duty coming. So it is what it is. Live and learn. Live and learn.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's one of those things. At the same time, you don't want to persecute yourself for taking action and going ahead.
No, not at all. Not at all. At the end of the day,
the best time to buy is right now. If you'd have known, it'd been the best time to buy is in a week's time.
But no. Do you know what? Let me tell you why. That's why I don't regret anything. I'll tell you why. Because I completed and my builders were ready to go. So I completed on Friday. My builders went in there on the Tuesday and they started doing the rip out. Now, if I'd waited another week or two, my builders have now got 8. I was with Max yesterday. I had a meeting with Max yesterday. And our builders that we work with, they've got 8 refurbs ongoing at the minute. They're working on 8 refurbs. Taking on 4 refurbs in the last 2 weeks. Okay? And we're dealing with, at the minute, with £500,000 worth of refurb work, like through the business. And it's like, that's how much we've put our builders with. And if I'd waited 2 weeks or 3 weeks to completion, my build would not be a priority because the customers would have come first. So I maybe wouldn't have had the build work done on time. So down the line, it might mean I was delayed by 2 months, which in interest alone for bridging finance is £1,000 a month. So you know what? Every cloud has a silver lining, my friend.
It does.
Reason for everything.
It does. And there's no point looking back and going, oh, I wish it's like, no. You could always say any kind of investment, any kind of, I wish I'd pulled out of the stocks there. Yeah, of course you do now that you know all the information, but you can only act on the information that you know. If you had a crystal ball that could look back, it'd be like, I wish I'd bought stocks in Coca-Cola, or I wish I bought Google. But in 1990, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Imagine if you bought stocks in Google or something. So
it's just crazy, isn't it?
You can always look back, but it's a great saving. It's a great reason to buy right now.
100%, because you don't know what's going to happen. Stamp duty is amazing. And obviously we know it's going to last till next year, so now is the time to buy. And it is a good market out there at the minute. It's a strong market. So I know we've talked a lot about house prices were going to plummet. I'm not seeing it. I am not seeing it anywhere. All the estate agents I'm speaking to, houses are off the shelf like that straight away. They're not hanging around. And the vendors are not really taking offers. They're if you want to buy it, that's the price. Because if you don't want to buy it, I've got 30 other people that are prepared to buy it. And that's what's happening. Same with the rental market. I'm looking to move at the minute, and I'm looking to rent somewhere else. And every property I phone up for, like seriously, it goes on the market. I ring up 10 o'clock. It's been on the market since 9 o'clock, and they've already had 10 people ring up about it. They've already got a list, so that they're now filtering people out by asking for proof of earnings before they even book you on a viewing. So like one of the houses I'm looking at was it's a really nice cottage in countryside in Northamptonshire, and it's the vendor, the owner, before he booked any viewings, wanted to see that the people were earning X amount of money per month, and you have to get that information before they leave and book a viewing for you, because they don't want anyone time wasting, and they don't want anyone dicking around.
It's funny because I'm the same boat as you, so I'm moving as well. I want, because now that I'm spending so much time working out and stuff, I wanted somewhere that was a little bit bigger, somewhere we could have a gym and stuff as well at the house. And I've been looking; they're flying off the market. The houses are. I mean, we found somewhere. I had to put an offer in. I didn't even negotiate at all.
Yeah.
I just put the offer in at asking price.
Yeah.
Like when I moved here, I was negotiating. I managed to get like a bit of money off the rent. Whereas this, I was just like, nah. Like when I went to view it twice, and both times it was like he was there like for 4 or 5 hours doing viewing after viewing after viewing after viewing.
Yeah.
We've seen that if you look at the area I'm looking at, let agreed, there's something like 50 let agreeds and like 10 that are now up for rent. They're just flying off the shelf. That I've had the exact same experience as you with that, and with properties as well. They're flying off at the moment.
I think stamp duty is going to help that even more. Like, because now people can afford to buy the next level up, can't they? Because they were probably factoring in they've got to pay stamp duty. So now people can get a slightly better property. And all of that, because they're saving potentially thousands and thousands of pounds, they can now afford to do that little bit of work to the property instead of not doing that. So instead of buying the house and then sitting in it for a year before they could afford to do any refurb work, it might be that they can afford to do the refurb work now. So the builders are going to be busy. So the suppliers are going to be busy. So like everyone's going to get busier and busier and busier because the economy is getting so much money injected into it. That I'm sure one day there'll be a point where we actually think, where was all that money coming from? But
we know where it's coming from. They just printed it.
Yeah, but there's got to be a recourse to that. They can't just keep printing money with no recourse. It's like suddenly it becomes devalued, and then who knows? Like what's going? Like all the Bitcoin people are all like jumping on the bandwagon and say, "Told you, cash is about to run out," and they're all going on about how Bitcoin's going to thrive and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know enough about it, so I can't comment. But yeah, anyway, I think it's amazing news for the property market. I think it's good news for the economy, and it's good news for the everyday person.
Yep, brilliant. Cool. Right, it's now time for this. So it's now time for the question and answer part of the podcast. So basically, you ask questions and we do our best to answer them. Usually, if you want to get your questions answered, jump onto either Instagram. We're both on Instagram. I'm at Russell Leeds, and you are
Alasdair _Cunningham. I'll put the it'll come through the screen. You'll see.
Cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. So first question is from Matt Gooley. That reminds me of that film.
I know what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say. The Goonies.
No, Gooley. Was it Julia Goulia? Do you remember? The Wedding Singer. Have you not seen The Wedding Singer?
No.
Oh, are you joking me?
I've not. No, I might have.
Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
No. It's a good film.
It's a great film.
Oh,
it's a classic film.
I tell you what I did watch, which I watched it. I was away yesterday in Birmingham and Manchester, and I stayed in a service accommodation. And I watched the Equalizer 2. Have you seen that with Denzel Washington? Oh, mate, that's a good film. That's a good film.
I haven't seen Equalizer 1.
Watch Equalizer 1. It's a good film.
All right. Anyway, this is Matt Gooley's question. As a new investor who has a background in building and management, what strategy would you recommend? SA would appear to be the best cash flow, but risky in the current climate. BRR? I would say, Matt,
if you're a builder,
I wouldn't say SA was risky in the current climate, though.
It's getting busier and busier and busier. I tell you now, it's getting busier and busier and busier. But if you come from a building background, buy, refurbish, refinance.
The only thing that's going to hit SA is if we go back into we're out of this lockdown. People are using SA right now. So the only thing that's going to hit SA is if we go back into another lockdown.
Look, it depends what you want. If you're wanting to own the asset and sort of recycle your cash, buy, refurbish, refinance, you could own the asset with SA, but it means you have to buy it. Whereas most people do SA on a rent.
You could combine the two. You could buy a rundown place, turn it into SA rooms, and rent it out as SA. You could combine. It depends if you've got cash, Matt. If you've got cash, then BRR. If you haven't got cash, you can still do BRR, but you'll need to joint venture or raise finance and find.
We've got a very good success student who's currently doing a buy, refurbish, refinance in Lytham St Anne's, just outside Blackpool. Buy, refurbish, refinance into service accommodation on a purchase. So that's what he's doing.
There you go. But what I would recommend, Matt, if you jump on Samuel365, go to Samuel365.com, you can book a call in with some of the experts. You can talk them through your actual situation with one of the property mentors, and they'll go through it with you and work out what the best strategy is.
Yeah.
So you can pay a pound for a free trial. Well, pound for a pound trial, 7 days. Easton Harris says, good morning, gents. I hope that you are both well. My question is, you listening, Al?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you rent out a 3-bedroom property as a 4-bedroom multi-let? Which, yes, you can so far.
Yeah.
But in an Article 4 area with no previous license.
You need to get planning, or you need to get permission from local authority because it's Article 4. So you need to get change of use. Unfortunately not, my friend. You'd have to go to the local authority and get permission for them to do it. They may grant it, but you will probably have to go through planning because you're changing from a single dwelling to a multi-dwelling. Sorry, my friend.
Joel Cusley says, I'm looking at buying a 5-bedroom house. I'll live in one of the rooms and rent out the other 4. Because I'm living in the property, would I be able to use a residential mortgage? I know you're able to take in one lodger as part of a rent-a-room scheme, but how does it work with multiple rooms?
No. Could you do it? Absolutely. Is it illegal? Yes. It's probably down as it'll breach your mortgage terms and conditions because you're getting paid for multiple.
If you're living, what I think I would be looking at doing if I was living in it is I'll probably speak to the broker, explain the situation. There might be certain ones that will give permission. You might be able to do it with permission.
Yeah, for example. I was getting there, but okay.
All right, you go. Go on.
Right.
I thought it was a joint show where we both gave input. I didn't realise it was the Alasdair Cunningham podcast. You carry on.
Right, okay, that's cool. So it's likely to be in breach of your mortgage terms unless you get consent to let. You need to speak to them about it. That's all I was going to say before I was rudely interrupted by Russell. Go on, Russell. It's your turn.
So, well, I think that is it. That's all we've got time for. So, thank you very much for tuning in and watching this week's show. We'll be back next Friday at 7 p.m. We've been a little bit inconsistent with Alasdair being away.
Yeah.
Me breaking my elbow. It's been a little falling off the horse bit, but we're back on it now. So we'll be back next week, next Friday at 7 p.m. So please do not forget to tune in. We look forward to seeing you on the show. If you've got any questions, don't forget to ask, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we possibly can. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all the usual.
Yeah, we've both got good YouTube channels as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube to Russell. Is it just Russell Leeds, or is that what your YouTube's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Alasdair Cunningham. Make sure you get subscribed. Also on Instagram.
I'm impressed you remember my name. See you next week, guys.